Hello and welcome to the Results with Ronnie podcast. My name is Ronnie Walker. I am your master coach of exceptional relationships and sex. You are listening to the podcast of Mr. Relationship Man. And today is pretty much an interesting day because this is one of those that I really wanted to put down into the archives later on. But I've been getting this question so much, and as I really look into the internet world and social media, be it IG, be it Facebook, be it LinkedIn, be it whatever platforms that there are out there, Twitter, Black Twitter, you name it, there seems to be this real strong tribal fight, if you will, that's going on and on and on. And it seems that women are real concrete and set in their ways on one side, and then you have men on the other side, and they're set in their ways and concrete in what they're choosing to believe. And that space in between is the noise. Now again, we can all debate whether that noise is relevant. Is it important? Is it factual? Is it just people speaking to feed their ego? Is it some vanity project? Who knows? But in between all of that, there's a whole bunch of mixed messages. So I get it. I really, truly do get it. Part of us wants to go back to much simpler times, and others only want parts of that simpler times. But if there's one thing for sure that I've learned in my, over 20 years of talking of life, dating, and relationship and sex coaching, is that you've heard me say, if we're not growing, we're dying. We are at a whole new place. So people will say something like times have changed, when really it's not nothing to time. Time hasn't changed. There's still 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 30 or 31 days or 28 days in a month, 12 months in a year. It goes on and on. It's people that's changed. And again, one can debate whether that change is good or bad. I truly am someone who believes that I'm going to always find the good in whatever happens. I believe it's those people that keeps us functioning to this day. So be that relationships, be that dating, be that friendship, be that business, job, whatever it may be. There's always going to be those challenges, even in health. It's amazing to me how people find the greatest triumphs in their health, no matter how much they suffer. It really is amazing to the point, it's just inspirational. I've seen some of the greatest victories of people who've had challenges in their relationships, whatever those relationships may be. They always look at the good that can come out of it. There's always lessons to be learned. So a lot of in terms of when we're talking relationships, if you know me and you know my work and you know what I stand for, I believe in relationships. I believe in connections. I believe in strong connections. So whether that connection is a business connection, platonic connections, I do believe men and women can be friends. I do tend to lean in the way that, as a man, you want to have some strong male friends. And I do believe that women should have strong female friends. I'm not here to tell women how to be better women. I believe there are many incredible, beautiful women, inside and out, that are more equipped to tell them how to become better women. And for those of you who are in the world of believing the Bible, then there are those passages that are in there that feels what they give them the guidance to be strong, beautiful women, as well as strong, incredible men. But I am pro-connection, pro-relationships, and that no matter how far we as men go, I believe the happiest men that I've read about, heard about, and had some of the most intense conversations about, when they talk about what has fulfilled them, that list, and at the top of the list was never how much money they made. It was always in the God that they believe in, and that God providing them or putting in their direction an incredible woman. And with that woman, they had together beautiful children. Now again, nothing's perfect, but even throughout all of that, you listen and you look in the man's eyes and see what that woman has meant to him in his life. And no matter how much happiness he had amongst themselves and his triumphs in business and corporate affairs and his buddies, it's that one woman that really took him to yet another level in his life. So again, those are the things, at least, that I have come away with in the journey of, even in myself. I truly believe, again, and you've heard me talk about this, and this is something I'm going to be repeating over and over and over. Some of the most defining moments in my life, also the biggest lessons, were from women, starting with my mother, who still to this day, who I still speak to, and I speak highly of, and will defend with my life. I've learned that I can never know more than Mom. But sometimes there are those men who don't have the best relationships with their mom. So what does any and all of this have to do with marriage? Well, pretty much everything. See, when I talk about, in the last podcast, about infidelity, and when I laid out what some people felt the reasons as to why, it's not as simple as that, as many make it. Some people just break it down to one or two sentences of what it is. And like marriage, there's one common thought sometimes, and maybe two. But, I look at where we are today in relationships, and you've heard me say this of late, is that dating has evolved. The rules of engagement between men and women have changed. Again, one can debate whether that is for the better or worse, but the reality is, it's there. We are social creatures. We're about connection. And it helps us provide our story. And some of us in that story has written marriage as part of it. Now we know, as it's envisioned or expected, where we would go and, you first woman you meet, sparks fly, fireworks, butterflies, all of these happen. You rush into the engagement, and he gets on the knee and gives you this 2,400 carat ring from Tiffany's or Takara or wherever it may be, or handmade in the mountains of wherever. And then you have the horse and carriage ceremony, and then the reception where champagne and exquisite food falls from the sky and everybody dances the night away as you pick her up, walk out the door, and go to a honeymoon of consummating the marriage, where it's just nonstop affection, kissing, and sex. Or at this point, it's lovemaking. You have 2.5 kids, the house and the picket fence. They go off and go to college. You both retire, and you both go all into the sunset. Fantasy. The fairy tale story. Now, I don't tell you all of this, and what I'm hoping to convey is not something that I really want to point in terms of some doom and gloom. I believe in marriage. I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in, coming together as, two separate people, but one union moving toward and congruently towards a goal. Yet, the numbers that are out there of divorce, and they're pretty high. And based on the studies that you look at, the reasons for divorce, seem to flip-flop. Number one, sometimes being infidelity, and number two, lack of money. Then you read another study where it says lack of money, and then infidelity. Whatever it is, it's high. And the question goes on and on as to why and what we need to do to make those numbers lower. But at the same time, we know that not everybody that is married is happy. So many of us like to talk about our parents and grandparents and how long they've been married. But when the truth is, the conditions of marriage back then are different than the ones today. There are also challenges that they had that you may not have known about. There may be some adultery going on, physical or verbal abuse that was going on. But they've done an incredible job of not making you aware of that. So then, where do we go from here? Do men still want marriage? I made it a point, over the past couple of months to reach out to pretty much over 100 men. I've had the conversation. I've made sure that I called because I really want to hear the tonality of the men. And there are many more that I probably will still reach out. So for those of you who are listening into this and I didn't call you, stay tuned. That phone call is coming. But do men still want marriage? And I know the ladies listening here are wondering. So, short answer, yes, they do. And then they hear, but where they at? Where they at? They're out there. I see them all the time on my timeline. I see them on TV. Where they're getting on the one knee, still like the old days. And it may not be the most picturesque of places, but the sincerity and what I believe the love is there. The rings are not 5,200 carats. Yes, I'm exaggerating for effect, but the rings are not huge, carat dot, rocks. But the intent is there. That I'd like you to make me the happiest man in the world at this moment and for the rest of my life. So it is happening. But see, the funny thing about the internet is that it has the power to empower or disempower. And if there's one thing that I'm really working hard to effectively communicate is to say that how you receive this information is what you do in filtering that information. We all need to become better controllers of what we bring into our brain. What goes into our ear? What I see? Are we focusing on chicken sandwiches and how popular they are? Are we focusing on the drama that goes on in whatever reality shows that they are? Or do we listen to things that's going to empower us to make us better people, better men and women, better parents? Are we investing in ourselves, in books, therapy, or even the conversations that we have with Facebook people that are our friends that we know, and those Facebook friends that we really don't know that well? Are they echoing the pain that we may have received in the breakup of a relationship? Or are you connected with those who will express the lessons that they've learned from those relationships? So the internet has a way of making a few voices seem like it's many, and making many voices seem as though they're not that much, or not as strong. And I think from my observation, and by no means am I trying to imply that I am the definitive answer to all that is going on with the relationship world. So take this as something to really chew on and think about, or something that you feel that you can add to the conversation. Again, if you wish to reach out to me, Ronnie@resultswithronnie.com, and just give me your thoughts. I'd love to share this. This is a conversation I feel we need to have. And I can assure you that this is not going to be the only podcast concerning men and women and marriage. But what happens when I talk about the small voices seeming as though it's plentiful is this whole mindset of men not wanting marriage, or men not wanting commitment, or all men are dogs, and men ain't whatever. These men are dusty. These men are ashy. And, people are taking their very limited experiences with men, and some may feel they have extended experiences with men, and make that their mantra. And if there's one thing that you believe, and if there's one thing that I see so often, is that misery loves company. And we're a society where people love to see the train wreck. And we're looking at happy ending as corny or unrealistic. And I know for a fact it still happens, because these are the couples that I talk to on a regular basis. Because they've done the work, they've done the investment in themselves individually and themselves as a couple, and they've gone on to be 2.0 improved. They've done what they need to do to become better parents, so they don't repeat the mistakes of their parents or grandparents, or listening to people who really don't have their best interests at heart, because they're still bitter. So with this said, I want men and women to really consider the information that you're taking in on a daily basis. That even if you turn off the internet, you still have everyday people that you're engaging with at work, at happy hour, at family functions. And you're hearing that negativity. So again, the filter is more than just what you're listening to on the internet. But men do want marriage. However, there are some that don't. Because if there's another increasing voice that I'm hearing over and over and over, is men not wanting to get married again. Now again, we can debate how large a number that is. I just choose to stay on the side of those are just a few men. Which then begs the question, why? Why is it that these men no longer want marriage? And that's a fair question. So this is what I reached out to those men that if they A, want marriage, and if they don't, for those that answered, why? And so it can be pretty intense. It can be very, very intense as to why men don't want marriage any longer. So the question is, do you want to hear what those reasons are? And I'm sure you do. But again, this is just a start. This is just a start. I'm going to do another podcast following up with this as to other reasons, and feel free to contribute. So people are changing. So now we're getting into debates when we're talking about money. So let's take it back to dating. Women are now complaining about 50-50. He pays half the bills. She pays half the bills. And their logic for that is because, ladies, you are winning in so many areas. And congratulations. I'm happy for that. Now, of course, we can both agree that there's still some work to be done. But you look at the rate in which women are, starting businesses, graduating colleges, being higher up in the ladder of corporate success. You women are really, really doing it. And I truly think that's awesome. You look at the roles of women in Hollywood. Still work to be done, but you're there. And it's so funny because as you listen to some men, you would think they'd be happy, but some of them look at that as your success as taking away from their success. And I'm one of these men who's constantly speaking to these men. I'm like, brothers, no, it's not that. In fact, you need to do more work in encouraging that. I also find that men are complaining about the same situations that they benefited from for so long, i.e. marriage. Again, if you look at the history of marriage, love wasn't always the default reason as to why people got married. And I'm trying to remember pretty much in that time as to when it was all about love in marriage. And let's face it, there's a lot of economics tied to getting married because now we've created industries in terms of wedding planners and wedding dresses and diamond rings, which, diamonds we know are not rare. But through marketing and very effective marketing, we made it a staple. So there's tons of money at stake. However, the reality is people are either A, waiting longer to get married, or B, not getting married at all. But men are complaining, and I'm going, well, why are you complaining? Again, to me, with the right individual, marriage is a beautiful thing. So then there are reasons that, for men, starting over is a big thing. It's a fear, and it's a real, relevant fear to them. Now, ladies, I know what you're thinking. Well, it's fearful for us as well. And you would be right. You're hoping and praying that this is the man the powers that be put into your space to spend the rest of your life with. But men are fearful. And I know, a lot of, you'd be surprised, a lot of what women feel, men feel too. Men are just better at covering it up or explaining it into something else, what some will call mansplaining. But trust me, a lot of it's based in fear. So if you listen to some men who's been married before, what are some of the big things that they mention? Alimony, child support. And this is something that says, okay. And for some, it's happened more than once. And so now all of that up, and is this something that they want to take a chance on again? Another reason, some men have lost what they felt was their soulmate to a sickness. And this is pretty big because they haven't made peace with, they feel that for some reason, marrying again is going to erase the beautiful memories they had with their previous spouse. And I believe that could be nothing further from the truth, which is why I've always been a big advocate that men, because I see women tend to do this a lot more than men, at least in my experience. Men, after divorce or a major breakup of some side, seek some coaching, seek some therapy. Holding on to memory, 5, 10, 15. And again, not that you want to erase it, but it's all about life is for the living. And I see so many men that pass up incredible women that they create new memories with. Now, mind you, they want to date these women, and then when the women lets their intentions known and asks, do you see yourself getting married, then they let's go with the flow. I'm still dealing with this, I'm still dealing with that, and I'm quick to tell them, look, fellas, if you're still dealing with this, then dating may not be in your best interest. Wasting a woman's time where you're still not, go speak to somebody concerned about that. This woman wants to be married. And she deserves to be with someone who sees that future with her. So be that man, and if you're not that man, step away. But for some men, that's a big issue. Another one that is talked about in certain circles, some men are undercover gay. Marriage may be for them, but not with a woman. Now, again, there are those women that are dating men that they have some suspicion of that. And if so, then that's something, a conversation I feel you should have. Marriage is one thing, but you want the man that you want to marry be married to a woman. And if that is not his desire, or his motive is not pure, and that you're just someone who's going to provide cover, well, then you need to, if that's something you feel, you need to address that and respect his decision to be who he chooses to be in this world. Another reason many talk about, and it's probably one of the top two things that goes on in the conversations among women, and among men too as well, and that reason is options. I call it the grass is always greener syndrome. But here's the thing about life. We assume that the grass is greener. How many times have you, or someone you know, or may have been involved with, or it could be friends or family, who left was an incredible situation, an exceptional relationship for someone they thought was the greener grass, only to find out that it wasn't. See, if there's one thing about temptation, it's constant. In fact, you'll find that once you make a decision to choose someone that you really want to involve in your life, along comes those that never thought twice about you, all of a sudden want to make their intentions known. And with that is the challenge. Now again, I truly believe that if I've chosen a particular woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with, it doesn't matter what comes my way. Nope, I'm good. I'm happy. Whatever you have to offer, I can assure you it's not on the level of this woman right here. She is who I want to spend my life and go off into the sunset with. But I'm flattered, and I wish you well on your journey in finding someone who suits your needs. So the options are there. But see, when I said the people are changing along with, as time moves on, what men are realizing now is that women have options. When I said in earlier podcasts, the internet is an incredible equalizer, it's in this space that women are really exercising their options. And truth be told, a lot of men don't like it. They're not up for the competition or the challenge. Now, that doesn't mean we're here to rub this in each other's faces, because it really serves no purpose. There are those thoughts that until he puts a ring on my finger, I'm going to date the whole gamut of men that are out there approaching me. That's your choice. Have at it. I find sometimes that with people's lack of focus, that may not be the best for them. Most people can't focus on one person, much less 2, 3. But again, this is just Ronnie talking. If you feel that you're better suited to see 2, 3 people at a time, that's fine. I'm of the spirit, and I know me personally. If I have my sights on one person, that, until proven otherwise, she's it. Period, end of story. I'm going to work on and find out what I need to find out and express what I need to express to this person, and we're going to come to a mutual conclusion that we want to go take this to new levels. We want to share each other's spaces, goals, dreams, whatever they may be. Also, too many women are chasing after the wrong man. And by that, I can't tell you how many women I've coached that are dealing with men they know for a fact is emotionally unavailable. And yet they focus on trying to convince them that they are the ones they need to open up their emotions to. And that's just not going to happen on your time. It's going to happen on his time, whenever that time may be. And you're taking that experience and that and just making that into a situation with all men. And so they get tired of this gentleman and they put themselves in another relationship with another man that's unemotional, unavailable. And it's intense because what then happens is a pattern of the same type of man. And then they come to the conclusion that men do not want marriage. When in fact, it's the men that you are going after or you're hoping to attract that doesn't want marriage. That's big. And I find that there's not enough women sharing that information with women. You know, you have this kind of ride or die mentality that I think, thank God, is pretty much dying out. Then economics plays a big part of this. A lot of women are single mothers. And some don't like that term, but whatever you choose to call it, you have a mother that is no longer with the father. And that could be divorce, that could be death, or that could be just a relationship that you had that never evolved into a marriage. And so a man who's looking for someone and finds that this is you, but you may have 2, 3 kids, in his mind, he's rationalizing, okay, I love her, and she has wonderful kids. So he's wondering the relationships the kid has with the father, if there is, and then he's looking at the economics of marrying this incredible woman. Now, one solution is do what you need to do to make that a reality financially, but maybe he's happy doing what he's doing in his current profession, and he's capped out. Or maybe he's close to retirement. And so outside of the love, and let's make no mistake about it, money plays a real important part in marriage. And being that men want to provide, good men want to provide. Good men, in my opinion, wants to pay 100% of what's going on in the marriage. Now, you both can decide what you're going to do with her income. But the way I was raised and what I stand for is paying 100%. Making sure the household is safe and financially fluid so that she continue to be whoever she is, continues to be. That way it gives you also the freedom that you can be who you want to be it business, be it corporate. The children can lead a life of comfort and not having to worry about that. Because again, remember, lack of money plays a huge part in divorce. And struggle love, if you've ever coached or have friends and family that deals with that, isn't pretty. And it can test relationships to ends that, whoo boy, it's intense. And so these are things that you have to take into consideration. And these are things that goes through the minds of men. Whether they verbalize it to you or not, these are things that they think of when they are dating single mothers. Can I afford this? And I think it's a conversation that, you have to have early on. And men, listen to me. I believe this is a conversation you need to have with yourself as you're out there weighing all these options that you do have, and not waste a woman's time. If you know this is not an avenue you wish to pursue, and being the new father figure of these children, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however how many, then don't go down that lane. Find yourself a woman that is either A, an empty nester, or B, doesn't have any children. And if she has no children, have the discussion if this is something that she wants to do. Now, of course, for us older brothers, empty nester is the best solution. But again, single mothers, it is believed that, these are things that a lot of them are having some challenges. And it may not be the only reason. I'm just saying that this is something that men really do think of. And then men voice that, sometimes when it comes to relationships and marriage especially, they speak about it in spaces that it's only about them, their needs, their wants. And ladies, men want to feel that they're a part of your life. And not just when they need you to kill a spider or wash the car. This mantra of, we don't need men for this, we don't need men for that. Trust me, it resonates in levels that really permeates men's mindset. And they're like, oh, so I'm just a paycheck to help you live your best life. And no man wants to go into that situation. Women are only focused on what he brings to the table and what she ain't gonna do. And he better be this and he better be that. Never once talking about what it is that you are, who you are, and why a man would be grateful to have you or spend time with you, make love to you, share travel with you. These are things men need to hear. So you see one post or one meme, and then you got 50, 60, 70, 100 women co-signing on something. And see, the men that you're out there trying to attract, I can assure you they're looking at these posts. Just like women are looking at the posts of men and come to some sort of assumption as to who and what they're about. Trust me, men are out there looking. And if you come across bitter, still in a space where you don't need, or that they're all about just some money, well, again, fair or unfair, this is what it is, and this is what I'm hearing from these men. These are just a few of the thoughts of the men. And this is just something that I want you to think about. You can agree, you can disagree, you can say these men are whining, or you can say, all right, I can see where some of these men have some points, some real valid thoughts. If anything, ladies, if you have brothers, cousins, if you're with your respective partner now, and you're wondering, speak to him, ask him his unmarried friends. Why does he think they are not married? Or how they feel about marriage? You'd be really surprised of what they say. And I can assure you a lot of what they will share will coincide with what I've just expressed to you on this podcast. And there are some other things as well, and I'll cover that at another time. But I just want to give you food for thought. And if at anything, what we're talking about is creating the conversation again. Because nothing's going to change with the mindset of women thinking that men aren't nothing and they are only about this, and men thinking the same damn thing. So I really try to be as fair as I can towards the men and the women. I am going to lean a little bit more into the men because men, we still have to step up. There's still work for us to do together. We still need to know that we are our brother's keeper. Now, we could sit here and talk about, I don't need to be worrying about what the man doing and how he lives his life. And again, you're misreading what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have wisdom that we can pass down because we have a whole new generation that is taking this whole concept of marriage, and I don't know what the hell they're trying to do with it. And I think this comes down to making something very simplistic into something even overly complicated. But at the same time, there are complexities in it because, again, as humans, we are complex. And see, here's the thing for my saints. Not everybody goes to church. Not everybody's spiritual or experiencing the Bible or God's Word as others. See, so I hear it from all sides. But even those who don't go to church every Sunday or don't have the strongest, what they feel, the relationship with God or a higher being, they still believe in a dedicated union of one person. I have no problem with monogamy. I don't believe it's unnatural. Now again, there are those who don't, and that's fine. Here, I'm not here to judge, but what I'm saying is that marriage, I believe, is important. I believe it plays a real strong structure in the forming of family, the cohesiveness of family, the growth of family, and the progression of humankind. And it's easy to slip into this mindset of thinking that marriage is a lost cause. I think it plays a very, very important part. Now, one could argue that it needs some tweaking because yet another reason men feel the reason to never get married again because it does not benefit them. It works against them. So whatever is spiritual and beautiful and before you have the great big wedding in church and things, nothing spiritual about it when you're sitting in front of a divorce lawyer. All the scriptures go out the window then when they're trying to fight, for their house or trying to keep the alimony, fair or not paying alimony at all. So things are changing. But that doesn't mean all the change is bad. And I do believe men still believe in marriage. So now that I spoke to the men, let me speak to the ladies. Ladies, queens, goddesses, take some time and listen to the men. Dismiss your girlfriends, your sisters, all the voices you see on the internet, and just really take a time. Sit down with a best friend who may be a male, or a brother, or a cousin, who may have some challenges with marriage, and just really take a time to listen to what he may have to say. And you may learn a few things. You may come away with a better perspective, or a different perspective, or you may not. But here's one thing I do know. At the state, and when I look at what's going on right now on the internet, we cannot allow the few voices to overpower the voices of many in reason and fairness, and something that could be changed and dealt with and tweaked with some therapy, conversation, and overall looking for the lessons and past hurts in the relationships and marriages that we've had before. So in closing, my name is Ronnie Walker. I am your master coach of exceptional relationships and sex. You can listen to this podcast on Apple, Google, Twitch. There are many platforms you can listen to. You can reach me at Ronnie at resultswithronnie.com. You go to the page, subscribe. If you wish to donate to help move this podcast along, that is greatly appreciated. Again, Results with Ronnie for consults and coaching. Mr. Relationship Man to listen to this podcast as well as others. I thank you for your time. I also have an ebook that you can also download when we talk about the intentional dating, which I believes gives you an incredible chance to getting towards that man on his knee and going into marriage. Again, thank you. My name is Ronnie Walker. Please take the time to share this if you can. Spread the love and show that there may be some other people that you know and care for that can benefit from this information. I'm open to any suggestions or podcast subjects. And again, have a wonderful day, and I wish each and every one of you the marriage that you're looking for. Take care. I'll talk to you later.